So I'm playing a 21-point game here. Yeah, I think it's an interesting one. My opponent gets the first move and green, and we see that green is the color to collect, as all three nobles have green. There are three green cards, and my opponent takes the first move and obviously saves the cheap green card here. Another green card comes up, and it's an expensive green card. So now I just start to collect. And now that I am in this position, I make an interesting choice, which in 21-point games, a common decision is, how aggressively are you saving the important noble, the important noble chase cards. So yeah, here it's green, and this is typically not a very strong card to save because of how expensive it is. And so when I save it, so the way I think about saving is adding an expense to the card. So you get a gold coin, but you lose the ability to pick up 3 coins. So, it's hard to measure how much a gold coin is worth, but let's just say it's worth 1.5 or even 2. So that means you're adding an additional 1 or 1.5 to the cost of the card. So a card that costs 5 for a basic card here now costs 6 to 7. So that's super expensive. And so the question I'm asking myself is, okay, am I willing to take that extra cost for this card? And in retrospect, I would say, no, that's not worth it. And I don't do that in game, and we'll see that get me in some trouble. So I actually take the top card instead, thinking that I'll save it for later, and then I take the bottom card. So I've decided, okay, I'm going to hoard the green resources in this game, and I'm willing to pay this huge cost for these already expensive cards. And my opponent has a cheap green card that they got from the beginning. So if we think about that narrative as the setup, that doesn't sound like a very good position. So my opponent gets to play the cheap green, and then I even lose another coin here because I have to put one back. So I basically spent the first 3 turns potentially setting up, but putting myself in a very expensive position, a deficit, whereas my opponent got sort of the best cheap card for the game. And so we're already starting off as if my opponent basically has like a 1 or 2 turn head start here. Gets the blue card, which is also good because it's playing towards these 2, and I think I make another confusing move here where, noticing that I am so behind and I need to start picking up some cheap cards, I decide to take the black card from the bottom, even though that doesn't really play into the cards that I'm trying to play, and it's not even that important here, though there are a few black costs here. That opens up that red card, like a perfect card for my opponent, who gets to pick that up cheaply, and now we see just how behind I am. My opponent has really good setup here. I'm sort of just stuck. This comes up, and I decide to, in the game, I'm like, okay, I'm already in this strategy, and there's this feeling of once you've committed to a strategy, and even though it's not working, you kind of just want to prove yourself right, and keep going for it. This opens up another great card for my opponent, a super cheap black card. I can't do anything to stop that, and I don't think I would anyways. All I can do is take, and again, we're looking at turn 9 here. My opponent has 4 developments, and I have 1, and I'm all And I'm all filled up here, and so I'm extremely behind. I've gone through this hoarding green strategy, and I'm just in a very difficult position. So I unlock one, I still end up paying 4 for that, and plus the fact that I saved, I'm basically paying 6 for a green there. I have to use one of my gold coins to take the blue down there, to start catching up. And I've luckily, luckily the cards on the bottom are somewhat lucky for me in that my opponent can't just keep purchasing from the bottom. He had to slow down a bit because he didn't have the right coins. So this setup ended up being okay. I thought about this decision for a bit, and in retrospect, I actually think this was an important call to take the white here using 1 gold. I decided not to. And the reason I did that, the reason why I decided not to is I thought maybe my opponent wouldn't take the white in favor of going for the green first, since he's been seeing me save, and I'm also thinking about if I should continue to double down and save this green card. So I decided not to take the white, but in retrospect, I think in this position, it is one of the things that keeps me in the game, because it gives me my 4th development and a white, and that is what my opponent is missing right now, is a white development. So I think that was a mistake. I ended up taking coins. My opponent takes the white, which opens up this red card that uses the white. So now I had maybe that opportunity to maybe even grounds a little bit. But now, of course, my opponent is ahead again. I play the green card in my hand. My opponent takes the black. Here's another green. I save it again. My opponent takes the green card there. Here, yeah, the blue card's really good for my opponent. And this is where he made a mistake. He decides to save the green to just, I guess, secure his green position. Seeing as he needs at least 3, he might be stuck. But that gives me the blue card at the bottom. That white card is pretty good for me. That opens that green card for him, which obviously is really good for him. I decide that I'm not hoarding anymore. So, yeah. He's starting to. So this is where things get interesting. Of course, I'm quite behind in a way. In terms of the race for these 2 nobles, actually I'm ahead by 1 blue. I'm obviously not going to try to race for this noble, and my opponent is up 2 red and a black. So yeah, this is an interesting spot where, as we mentioned, leading up to this point in the game, in the race, I've been extremely behind in terms of developments. But now that we're in the mid game and the race is now towards points, if I ignore this noble and I don't race for it at all, and I just race for these 2, I'm actually ahead in that race. So in the race for getting nobles, I'm ahead now. I'm behind because I don't have the developments to properly to race as well, but knowing that, that's my kind of only chance here, is to race to try to win these 2 nobles. Okay, so let's see how that race goes. And so now I start to notice that, okay, this is my out. Obviously, I'm feeling really behind, but this is my out. For some reason, this again, I think is a mistake. I think I need a red to run that race. And so I take that red. And maybe I could have even saved this green card here. It's an interesting psychological thing because I've noticed that I was sort of maybe wrong for hoarding green. and this is probably one of the best ones to hoard. Oh, there's no gold. Okay, so can't really hoard there effectively, but maybe I still hoard that just because it's such a good card for my opponent. But also, I guess he has the third green anyway, so I don't really need to protect. Okay, scratch that. Don't think that I need to hoard this at all. He takes that, obviously. That white card is important. I have to take it. The blue card comes up, pretty good, really good for my opponent. Takes it. Blue card comes up. Again, I'm racing, so I just have to take it. The white card comes up, good for my opponent. So yeah. Now, I've been expending resources to try to win this race. I'm down to just one gold coin. My opponent has a ton of resources here with the white that gets him the blue at the top. I only have one save left. The position is looking extremely dire now. I think that this card, the blue cards at the top, are obviously really important. My opponent decides, I'm trying to develop white. My opponent decides to steal that white. And now I protect the top card there. He plays the green. I think that's a mistake. Doesn't need to do that there. But maybe he's trying to free up something. I play the green card in my hand, freeing myself up. And here my opponent decides not to take this 4. So that's the primary calculation here is it worth it for me to steal the 4 even if I have no gold to claim? And my opponent thinks, okay, it's not worth it for me, so he's gonna not use up his gold and take a turn where he can get the blue and white to get that cheaply. But my calculation is that it is worth it. It's kind of my only chance. I'm ahead. I'm down 3 points. I'm racing towards this. He needs one blue to complete. The only way for me to win this, he has the white in his hand. The only way for me to win this is to protect this. So I think this is definitely the key card. My opponent probably thought he was in a very comfortable position, so didn't need to save there for no gold. And then this white card comes up, which I need pretty badly, but I'm a little bit quite far from being able to buy it. My opponent plays the white, which I think that's probably not the right move, since this white gives him that plus 3 points, so it's kind of a slow move. But my opponent probably thinks he's just so ahead that it doesn't really matter. That gives me the opportunity potentially to win. So I'm now eyeing this white card. Would love to get it, obviously. My opponent takes here. He didn't take the black. I take the blue card here. So after I analyze the game, taking this here was a really important move. I think it was part of the game-winning move. And the reason is because, I'm trying to get this. There are some black carrots here, but I don't really care about that. I care about this the most, and I also need the black to play potentially this. So in this spot, getting that extra black here, I think is quite important. Now my opponent sees, okay, I'm getting kind of close to buying this white card, and that white card not only completes me here, but gives me the 4 points, so it's a 7-point card for me, right? Because it gives me the noble, and my opponent still doesn't have blue. He decides to take that, right, which gives him 3 points plus the black. I fill up here, and so I'm forcing my opponent to use 3 gold coins to take the white. Otherwise, I'm kind of back in the game if he gets it. So of course he decides to take it, and here's where I get super lucky. I draw into this white card. So again, this keeps me alive. Not only did my opponent have to use 3 gold coins, his 3 gold coins to take that 4, I got the card plus another point. So now I'm at 10 to 12. Obviously, we're still behind, but um, yeah, we're still pretty behind in that obviously my opponent's going to win this noble, and we're even on this noble, and he's up 2 points, and he has more developments than me, and plus this 3 white that can give him this. So I'm still very behind. That 5-point card is pretty good for me, but also very good for my opponent. That's worth 8 points to him, and he's got the developments that go for it. So obviously we want it. He decides to take 3 points, and now my only hope of winning is going after this green card, plus playing this blue card in my hand to get the noble. And so that's what I do. My opponent decides just to take the points here. I think that's pretty incorrect. But now he's at 19 and I'm at 10. But given the position, the points here, there's no quick 2 points for him to win. Everything is at least a few turns away. So there's still hope, even though it's 19 to 10. And so I'm again just trying to get there. My opponent saves that red card. That's kind of a slack move again. But he should be feeling pretty safe and comfortable still, given the positions. Okay, he steals that. Now, again, I'm just trying to get these 2 cards. So I put that back. I think my opponent is supposed to prevent me from getting this here, but again, he probably hasn't done the math to see what outs I have. So he takes. And then I go for that green. I get to have the green card. It opens up this blue card, which gives him the points to get to 22. But I have enough to play the white card in my hand, and I also get to 22, but with less developments. So I actually win this game. Experiencing the game itself was very interesting. Obviously, it was a psychological battle. When you're losing so badly, it's easy to just give up and not play to the opportunity, the chance to win. But yeah, it was a great test of, okay, yeah, basically losing this game like 90% of the time or more. But a few decisions really kept me in it. And that was just sort of playing towards, like, what are the fastest ways to get points. So I think that, in retrospect, the 2 best moves that I made were, as I mentioned, taking this black card, and that timing was critical. That was sort of the way to play to my outs of winning. So I think that was critical. So I think that was sort of the best move I made. I think the worst, aside from the beginning, the beginning was played horribly. I think this red card was very much a slack move. We basically used 2 red to take this, and we never ended up using red much in the future. We used 2 red and white to build this and a turn. So this was aside from playing the early game bad. This was a huge mistake. And as I mentioned in retrospect, I think that I should have used my gold card to take this white. So yeah. But yeah, pretty interesting game. Let me know what you guys think in comments in terms of, yeah, what your experience is with being able to handle losing positions. Is it something that is sort of easy for you to think about just, okay, keep going, doesn't matter if the likelihood is I'm going to lose, I just make the best move that I can in the next step? Or does the probability of your outcome really affect your ability to make good decisions?